Hello and welcome to the We Recommend podcast, a movie podcast where every week we recommend a movie for you to watch and then come back here and listen to us discuss. I'm Jesse.
I'm Jason.
I'm Dakota.
I can't lie to you about your chances, but you have my sympathies. This week we recommend Alien. Woo! So Dakota's back with us, third time on the pod. And this is a movie you wanted to do. So, tell me, why the heck you like it and stuff.
I really love it because I don't you always. In some of your other ones, you always ask about when did you first watch it, and I'm sitting here thinking, I think I first watched it when I was like 10 or 11.
I can never remember.
Yeah,
It's just one of those movies that's kind of been around for a long time because it's just such a good classic horror movie and the creature, and I really love it. I even have a tattoo of one of the xenomorphs on me. Huh?
Humble brag.
I mean, you're just Mr. Pure Boy over here.
I'm also untouched.
Our skin is too pure. We don't got that devil skin like you.
What are you gonna do when you get older and you have them still? I don't know. I guess take a cheese grater to it and start over.
So what about you, Jason? This a big movie for you, or is it just I like it?
I always loved it, but yeah, it wasn't really it's kind of one of those things where if it was on TV or something, my parents never rented it when I was younger, so.
Yeah. This movie, I really liked cats as a kid. Well, I liked all animals as a kid, so I really like this movie because of that.
I know, I saw the kitty, and I was like, what?
And then also the part where the monster gets Dallas, and he goes, yeah!
All those scenes are so funny.
I loved that as a kid. I thought it was so fun. And also, seeing toys of the xenomorph. It's this movie rules. Thing is, I was more aliens-based than Alien as a kid. I loved Aliens.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one a lot.
That one I was like, let's go. Even as a kid. It was be like the Ultimate Warrior in my living room. Y'all probably don't get the reference, but you shake that. You don't. Where is Devin when you need him? But yeah, so Alien or Aliens? Is there a preference for you guys?
Is that the second one?
Yeah.
It depends. To
That's
me,
the one. Get away from her, you bitch.
Yeah.
I love it. She says bitch twice.
She's fighting the mama?
Yeah, and she's in the giant robot suit.
Yes, the
that's so good. That one to me is just more action based because it's
makes the xenomorphs just nothing.
Yeah, it takes away a little bit of the horror elements, but I feel like it added so much to the lore of the alien.
But the scene when they're in the tunnel and they're shooting at it and you just see all of them crawling through.
It's just
so cool.
It's action horror, but it's also that James Cameron 90s action that was in T2. It's just so good.
Yeah, but this one is just a master class of suspense.
Hell
and
yeah.
Just building tension. Even the opening, just how slow you're just going in space and then you're slowly getting lines that make the alien word.
Yeah, I felt like that was so long of an opening, we're still here.
I was watching and I was like, oh my God, when is it going to be complete? And I was like, it's already building the suspense. And then it takes you through the halls and you're like, oh yeah, I like this movie. It's kind of perfect.
And the musical score is just beautiful.
Yeah.
Who did the music for it? Was it someone very famous, or is it someone who he's grumbling? He's grumbling over here oh great, he just asked me something I don't know.
The one thing I didn't look up. Oh no.
Well, it must not be that big of a deal because it's more about the art and stuff that they focus more on. Because was it H.R. Giger or
Jerry Goldsmith
or H. Geiger? I don't remember.
H.R. Geiger.
H.R. Geiger, yeah.
Oh, it's the guy that did Looney Tunes. L.A. Confidential, Congo.
Did you say Looney Tunes?
I don't know. It just is on the top of his IMDb. It showed Looney Tunes. So I don't know. But yeah. So I don't really know him, but yeah, it was a great job. 10 out of 10. Nailed the guy. So what would be... So is everybody's rankings Alien, then Aliens? And then, do y'all like any of the other ones?
I don't really like the third one, but Alien Resurrection, the
David
fourth
Fincher's first film.
Yeah. I've seen that one a lot because it was on TV a lot, and I just like the Alien franchise. That one was, I don't know what channel it was on, but it was on all the time, and I watched it so much.
TNT. Sci-Fi. All had it all the time.
And I remember my senior year in high school, we had to do a book report on something from our library, and I hated doing book reports. And I was just looking through the library, and they had a book on Alien Resurrection. I was like, oh, this will actually make me read it. And I was just thumbing through the pages, and I was like, man, this just seems like it's the script from the movie. So I decided to test it. So I closed the book, opened up to a random page, and I started reading. And I was like, okay, this part. And then I was like, this is the next scene to happen. And then I skipped ahead and saw, I was like, yeah, that's the exact scene. So I just threw the book aside. It's like, all right, I got the book report down because I've seen the movie so many times.
That's so cool.
God.
It was my best book report I ever did.
So is this a novelization of the movie?
Pretty much. There was obviously more little details in there, but I wasn't reading the whole book. I was like, this is literally most of the movie right
That's
here.
something I kind of want to do. I want to start reading novelizations of books to see what they add. I know Star Wars, they add a lot.
Revenge of the Sith has like, it's the scene like where like Dooku's getting his head cut off. They go through his head, like his mind, and it really opens up to like what he's losing. And like, I've been fooled this whole time. My whole plan was I was being used, and it's apparently really good.
Oh, so he isn't just like shit.
Yeah, it's a lot of like when he, like that, like you know, when he just looks and he looks at like my arms off, then he looks at Palpatine like, huh? And he's like, oh, my plans are gone. It's more of a in your head moment of like, wow, like he was actually the stuff he wanted to do was actually made sense instead of just be like, I don't want to be a dictatorship. I just want to stop the endless wars.
What if he was like played by Owen Wilson? Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Dang it. I'm Count Dooku. Wow.
I do gotta ask, Jason. It's always the thing because they go hand in hand. Alien or Predator?
That's exactly what I was about to ask.
What about? I mean, they're fun to watch. I do like Predator a lot. I have seen it more, but I like this movie more than Predator. I thought it was a better movie, but Predator was just fucking awesome.
Yeah, Predator's got that classic like I'm horror, but I'm like Schwarzenegger action as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is just way better written.
Oh yeah.
In terms of dialogue,
Yes.
it's so well. I mean, the Predator is written by Shane Black, so you get like his classic, 80s or 70s. Can't remember when Predator came out. Off the
The
top of my-
original Predator?
Yeah,
I didn't know he did that.
yeah. That's why he's such a popular screenwriter. That's why when we did Long Kiss Goodnight, people were literally, "Take my money, we just want your scripts." But yeah, I'm definitely Alien. I think the Alien is cooler than Predator,
I think my
like
thing,
design wise in terms of Alien.
yeah, I think one
It's-
thing I like respect about the alien more is what they say in the movie is like it's a perfect creature. It's a hunting creature. It doesn't like I like that it doesn't think the predator thinks it wants to hunt. It chooses. The alien is just its nature of just how it's born like that. It's the perfect creature like that versus the predator. They train themselves to be that way.
Yeah,
And this is like natural versus training and how I just something about that just is great. 'Cause
and plus, I'm not scared of Predator. He'll look at me and be like, "Nah, you can get out of here, dude. I mean, I ain't hunting you, bro."
No, you just rip your spine out.
no, what if he looks, he's like, you want to have a battle of podcast? I'll fight you. I'll make my own podcast and be
The reviews of that episode would be like, "Too many mouth noises, too many mouth clicks." I didn't like it. He sounded too wet.
Reads one comment, activates his bomb.
It's like I'm coming. All right, so one last question before we get into some facts. Alien versus Predator.
That was fun.
I love them.
It's such a
I
fun
love
movie.
them.
I hate them.
They're so bad.
You
but they're-
hate them?
I don't like them.
What?
I think they're bad.
They're bad, but they're fun.
But they're fun bad. They're good. Like, it's just like, man, it's Alien versus Predator. That's that classic, like, to me, it does.
Don't bring aliens to the Earth and not show
Well,
them.
then, like when the aliens pumping
Don't show
eggs
'em what?
into that
Don't-
dude.
Don't bring aliens to
Ugh.
Earth and don't plant them in like New York or something. Don't talk to me.
Why?
I want it to be in the middle of like New York City and like 5 xenomorphs just running around.
Hell
Well, they
yeah.
kind of do that in Requiem, as dark as it was.
That movie is terrible.
But,
I have a Japanese poster back at home of that movie.
have you gone
It's
back
the
and
coolest-
watched it, though?
Requiem? You mean the xenomorph with dreadlocks?
Yes.
What?
It's still a good movie. Like, I went back and watched it, turned my brightness all the way up, still could barely see, but it's still like a good movie because it's just like a town's getting taken over and a predator's trying to take it, and the humans are just the bystander in this. I thought it was it's just kind of good. It's actually takes a little bit more of the we'll like say horror elements of like people are dying and the predator's just trying to stop it, and the people are just dying left and right.
Insects.
Yeah.
To quote Adam Sandler in Uncut Gems, I disagree.
Did
We
y'all
know
see
how that ended.
Did y'all see what was it, Prometheus or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was neat.
That movie is a movie where every time I watch it, I either love it more or I hate it even more.
Yeah, but I just thought
can't figure it out.
It was interesting how they went further into like the dead guy they find. Like that's kind of his story, isn't it? And that's what's kind of his
Space
people.
jockeys is what they're called. I was just talking about that. That was one of my complaints
about
Space
jockeys.
Which we'll get to. I got a fact about it, so we'll get to that soon before you get there.
They got a lot of bones.
They some bony people. It does suck that it's like they just made them these because they look like little elephant people where their tusk is grown into their own skin and something like that.
Fine, like with because a lot of them based original art off of that one, and that's how I grew up with what they look like. So when Prometheus came out and I saw it, it's like I guess you would see it as like original Star Wars trilogy. And they bring in like the midi-chlorians, you're kind of like, well, that's not cool. Like, why would you change something? Now it's like you have to have these high blood count of shit, and you're good. It just changes something that you were so used to, and I didn't like it. It really bothered me.
It's just like having high cholesterol that gives you powers.
Yeah, I like pretty much most of the story of Prometheus. I just didn't like half the characters. Just didn't make any sense. But man, when they're ripping that baby out of her stomach, that rules.
They're like your wife said, there's just so many, like, some good scenes in there.
Yeah, it's a beautiful movie, and it's great. And I liked all the tall white people. And
I just wish we got more. They were kind of...
Just based off, like, alien lore and all the podcasts I listened to, I was like...
I was pretty confused when he just turned to powder and fell in the water.
Yeah, I feel like Scott was like, I'm this great director. I'm going to do my... interpretation stuff.
That's what happens when you eat bath salts. They just dissolve when you get in the bathtub.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like the director. No, like is that something he did?
All right, so the egg chamber sequence was originally different. It's one of the most well-known and acclaimed sequences in the film. After the Nostromo. Right? Got that right? Okay. Responds to an alien distress signal and lands on an alien planet. Crew members Captain Dallas, Kane, and Lambert come across a bizarre spaceship containing a huge chamber full of unhatched eggs. In the original script, the eggs were found in an ancient pyramid-like structure on the planet. This was written out by the producers who replaced it with a military bunker. When Scott came in, he liked the ancient civilization idea and changed it back. So what that means is that the chamber with the alien eggs isn't actually on the spaceship. It's in the ancient structure, and the alien ship crashed on top of it, and when the crew go into the chamber, they're moving from the spaceship into the structure.
So it wasn't like they checked his fridge and there was a giant carton of eggs?
Well, that was something when I was watching it this time. I was like, wait, is that supposed to be the giant ship? Like, that's a really big ship. But now it makes sense that they go into a pyramid.
Yeah, I was thinking
it just doesn't look that at all.
Well,
Oh,
I guess that was something I didn't. Also, that was my other complaint with like Prometheus was that it seems like the space jockeys kind of created the xenomorphs, and I like it more of when something you don't know how it got there. It's just like their thing.
Yeah,
kind of like what I like about the flood from Halo. You don't really know how it's there. You're just like it's this force of nature or something else that you don't know what it is, where it came from, but it can wipe you out.
Oh man, who do you think would win, Master Chief or Xenomorph?
Depends. I mean, Chief would probably be able to take out some Xenomorphs.
He's got a lot of sticky bombs.
Yeah.
Plasma grenades.
Just got to watch out for the acid blood, and I think he'd be all right.
Get one face hugger.
Oh, I didn't even think. Well, the face hugger, because there was a tie-in comic where, for some reason, DC stuff happened. And Superman got a face hugger on his face.
Hell yeah.
And he was not near a sun, so he was like having to get closer to a sun before it hatched. And eventually he got exposed to the rays again and came stronger as it was about to burst through his chest, as it tried to burst through his chest.
So he landed on the planet that all this stuff happened?
I don't know. There's all this other crossover
stuff. It would be great
stuff.
if it would burst out with a cape.
Because as you see on this planet, like, you get no sunlight.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, obviously, like in later Alien movies, they have them like so many like human military stations have them, and I don't know. I didn't read the comic. I just know about it.
Okay. Well, get your facts straight.
More alien shit, people. I love it. I love all alien shit.
Yeah, no, Aliens is like my favorite. Just Alien, my favorite genre.
Did you ever play the video game that came out with it?
No.
I have it downloaded on Steam. I just never did it because I can't control with the keyboard.
Two. I played 2 of the campaigns because it has 3 of them in it. Predator one was fun. Human part was excellent.
Wait, the Alien game?
There's an Alien versus Predator game.
Oh, I didn't know that. I was thinking of the one where you're
I couldn't do that.
playing
one.
as like someone kind of.
Oh, the one where you just kind of
walk
trying
around.
to get away from it.
Yeah, it's
I
like
played that one for a little bit.
They based that one kind of more off the first movie, like you're hiding and stuff.
It's free on PS5. I need to do it.
Yeah, I heard that that game was so interesting to me. If it could hear your voice through your controller, like if that microphone would
If you
be
screamed
activated
or something, yeah.
and if you were too loud, the alien could find you easier.
I couldn't play my dog.
So I was always too afraid.
My
I
dog
think
would,
you could turn it off. Obviously,
Snake would just be barking the whole time. He's like, "God dang it! I'm gonna. You're just like the cat.
Aliens coming out everywhere.
We're having to deal with an animal instead of saving our own selves."
I actually remember one part of that video game when I was playing the human section because you got to worry about the predator and the alien part. The main part of the story though is dealing with the alien infestation. So most of the game I'm sitting here fighting the xenomorphs, and I remember walking through like one section of the game and I was sitting here like, man, like I haven't ran into a predator yet, and I was just sitting here ready. This door was opening slowly, and I just walked up to it, and a body fell in front of me like a predator, like how they hang them up. And I freaked out in the game, like, like they do in the movie, started shooting it. And then the predator does its little thing, looks at you, and jumps in front, eyes flash, and jumps away. And I was like, that was so cool. It felt just like the movies. I always remember that scene because it got me perfectly, just how it would in like a movie scene. It was just
like they just waste the whole forest whenever they see it.
Oh, it's so awesome. That movie rules. The Predator, not Alien vs. Predator.
Those are good.
So
fun.
The space jockey caused quite a stir. Before Dallas, Kane, and Lambert came across the egg chamber, they passed through what looks like to be a bridge on the alien ship and find a huge skeletal figure sitting in a chair. The movie provides no explanation, and this figure became known as the space jockey. There was a lot of fan speculation down the years about what or who the space jockey could be, and Ron Cobb, one of the writers or concept artists on the film, did explain. A cataclysm caused the alien adults to die, leaving the eggs dormant in the chamber. Years later, the space jockey race investigate the planet and are fascinated by this chamber. One of them gets face-hugged. The alien bursts from his chest and goes on a killing rampage. The alien is shot and killed, and its acidic blood burns through the hole, leaving the space jockey stranded on the planet. They sound out a distress call that years later the Nostromo picks up, by which point the jockeys have all starved to death. The studio 20th Century Fox really said that Ridley Scott couldn't build the space jockey set because it was so huge and only being used for one scene. It was Ron Cobb, though, who convinced them to keep it. He said it's our Cecily B. DeMille shot, meaning a moment that makes the movie look expensive and not like a B movie. Which it does.
It was a great shot.
Because as soon as it cuts to that shot, it's like, they got budget.
Oh, man, it's so good.
But they didn't.
Cobb's
It was
up
only
there.
made for $11 million. And that was over budget from what they were going to do.
Yeah, he looked cool. And you're immediately like, this is fucking mysterious as hell.
I
want
love that
more
stuff
of.
because it's just like, what's going on? I love sitting here when it leaves you up to like wondering, like, what happened? What's going on? Because you don't know. It's like a new world. And you're like, oh, man, you just think of so many things what could have happened, but you love it.
See, that's one of those things when it comes to movies like this where I'm just like, actually don't need anything about this guy. I just like it. It's fine. It's cool. It's a cool design. It's like something happened to this guy. Obviously, there's these aliens. That's all I needed to know. I don't really need to know, like, but I feel like that's a problem when we get so many sequels. It's like, I didn't need any of this. I didn't need
It
to
does
know.
take away the elements of like,
But then again, I
mystery.
also like those creatures. And
yeah, I do
Why-
like what they
Prometheus,
expanded
Why did they
on.
call it space jockey?
I don't know. I guess because he was like piloting a ship and then just call him that for some reason. I don't know why it got to that name.
because the internet's funny.
Okay.
It was called that before the internet, but all right.
Because he's a little old boy riding a horse. I don't know.
He wasn't little.
I know.
He was a big man.
They're like 8 feet tall.
Big bony motherfucker.
So,
Hamburger.
The chest burster
Cheeseburger.
sequence involved impressive practical effects. So the most famous scene in the film is the moment that having been impregnated by a facehugger, an alien bursts through Kane's chest at dinner. In order to accomplish this, the crew created a mechanical torso, laid it out on the table, and John Hurt, who played Kane, lay under the table with his head, shoulders, and arms protruding through a hole in the table to make it all seem like one body.
Cool.
The mechanical torso was packed with animal guts and a small compressed air cannon. On activating the cannon, the torso bursts open. The blood and guts spilled everywhere, and they pushed the alien puppet up from under the table. There's a myth that this scene was filmed in one take, but that isn't true. It took two takes.
So they Swedish chefed it.
Yeah.
and,
and in order to create the shock and horror he wanted, really purposely left some of the cast in the dark about what was coming. The script said that something would come out of Kane's chest, but other than John Hurt, none of the cast members knew any more than that. They weren't expecting it to be graphic, so Lambert's look of horror when she sprayed with blood was actress Veronica Cartwright's real reaction. Sigourney Weaver said she thought John Hurt might actually be dying, and she only stayed in character because nobody shouted, cut.
She's pro.
That's so good. I love when they do that type of stuff.
And the guy that played Parker, he went home that night, and he locked himself in the bathroom and refused to talk to his wife for 4 hours.
I mean, I guess I get it. Like, if you don't expect it, and
Yeah.
like, you got to think this is like probably like body horror that you hadn't seen a lot of, because it is like the beginning of before like what we're used to now, like crazy amounts of gore, and you see that and you're like, this is really good effects.
It's
Yeah.
so cute though.
Yeah.
He comes out, he's like, hey.
I just immediately go straight to the Family Guy episode where he does like, "Hello, my darling. Hello, my baby. Hello,
That
my
is
good time
not
guy."
Family Guy.
What was it?
I'm pretty sure it's Spaceballs.
Well, Family Guy does have a bit with the alien, but you're right. I think that is.
I'm gonna get you
Spaceballs.
with my mouth. Now my little mouth gonna get you.
Yeah, I
That's
do
what
remember
that is.
that. Well, no,
Just-
they
do you
do
know
they-
movies.
They do one
you
with the
don't know it's
alien.
from Spaceballs.
They do one with the alien. Anyway, since I'm embarrassed in my own podcast,
That's what I'm here for.
so Ridley Scott wasn't the first choice to direct. Walter Hill, the producer who picked up the script, was a successful filmmaker, having directed Driver and recently finished filming on The Warriors. Hill, though, said he didn't want to direct, and Fox went through a lot of other candidates before they got to Ridley Scott. They first asked Robert Altman. I don't know if any of y'all know him. He
No.
did Nashville, MASH. If he'd be interested, but he said no. Peter Yates, he did Bullet with Steve McQueen, and Jack Clayton, who did The Great Gatsby, the 1974 one. They were considered, and like another director was considered. So the guy, Robert Aldrich, he did Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, came very close to being hired. Aldrich talked himself out of the running when he met with Alien producers Hill and David Giller, and on being asked what happens, what were his plans for the face hugger, he said, "We'll just put some tubes on a guy's face. No one's going to remember it anyways."
Tubes, they're the answer for everything.
And then finally, being impressed by The Duelist, Ridley Scott's first feature, the producer spoke to him like a lot of other filmmakers at the time. Scott had been a fan of Star Wars, and been blown away by it, and had some ideas on how to do science fiction movie his own way. So when Fox approached him, he accepted immediately.
Random thing. Do you know what the original name of this movie is supposed to be?
And it like Beast something.
Star Beast.
Star Beast,
And
yeah.
I'm like, I'm so glad. It's
That's
funny when you hear those
horrible.
original. Yes, it would have been like, this makes me think of like a B movie.
It's very 70s.
Yeah, and seeing that, it's like, God, I'm glad they changed it. I love seeing when the original names of movies are supposed to be like, man, that was a bad choice. Whoever.
Right. It's like, that would have been terrible. It's like, what was, like, Anakin Skywalker being Anakin.
Star
Star
Killer.
Killer,
Yeah,
or
or
Luke
Luke was
Star-
supposed to be Star Killer.
That's kind of sick though.
It is, but it's like, it's too.
On the nose.
Well, no, it's too like mean. I would say that is like it seems like he's the bad guy. Literally when he's not the one who blew up a planet.
Yes.
Like
But his dad did.
what was like original was supposed to be Revenge of the Jedi, and they said that's too like evil. They're not supposed to be bad. They don't get revenge. That's why they changed it to Return. And you can still
Gotcha.
like if you find old posters that say Revenge, they're apparently worth a lot.
Nice. Keep an eye out for those.
So Ridley Scott employed some weird techniques when working with the cast. In order to create an atmosphere of tension and paranoia, it's my earbuds are going crazy. He wanted on the film, Scott used a few tricks on set. To heighten the sense of claustrophobia for the cast, Scott had the walls of the sets pushed slightly closer together every day, but didn't tell the actors he was doing it.
What? That's cool.
awesome.
He wrote full backstories for each character and gave them to the actors before shooting. A lot of directors do that. And to try to create more natural tension between the characters, he asked the guy that played Parker and Ian Holm to both antagonize Sigourney Weaver on set. When they shot the scene between Ripley, Parker, and Lambert, where they hatched a plan between every take, Dakota would say to Weaver, "Come on, sister, you got to give me more than that," until eventually she delivered the line we see in the film.
Which was what?
I don't know. I don't know.
And she's
can't
more
remember.
attractive than I remember. Sigourney Weaver.
Oh yeah, where's your question?
What?
You always ask. You usually, if it's an actress or even an actor, is like hot or not.
Oh, yeah, everybody in this movie's hot.
She does wear
I
green
I don't
panties,
think
though, at the
she's
end.
attractive.
Well, you're a hater.
Oh, like she's not ugly. She's just not.
Girl needs to learn how to, like, get a proper size pair of underwear. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Oh.
that's not even covering your butt,
That's
lady.
so funny.
You know they gotta show a little cheek.
Thought it was weird. So Tom Skerritt wasn't the first choice to play Dallas. Tom Skerritt is memorable as the brave Dallas, but he wasn't the first person for the role. Harrison Ford turned down the role, as having just played Han Solo in Star Wars, he was concerned about being too synonymous with science fiction movies. The producers also spoke to Tommy Lee Jones, but passed after Jones told them that he'd be in the film, but wanted to play the alien.
He wanted to what?
He wanted to play the alien.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like, no, I'm holding out for something better.
It's like, yeah, if I'm not playing the
Volcano.
alien in this, then I'm not in it.
Did you see who like what was it? The guy who was in the suit was like a 6'10" dude. And I'm like, God dang, that explains the
Have you
height.
seen like the behind the scene footage and stuff of it?
I actually went to watch
It's so silly looking.
the
suit
movies
looks
that made
terrible
us.
outside the movie.
and I went on there and I was like, oh, the poster has like the alien head. I'm gonna watch this so I can remember it. And I was like, they did Aliens. They
Mhm.
didn't do the first
do the
movie.
first
That's
one.
really annoying.
Well, it's because Aliens. Well, I mean, that was the one I watched the most. It's the one that everybody.
I know, but come on, it's the classic.
When you're growing up and it's making you, it's aliens. When you grow up and you get more sophisticated, it's alien. All right, last fact. It was a conceptual artist, Ron Cobb, who came up with the idea that the aliens should bleed acid. This came about when Dan O'Bannon, one of the writers, ran into a wall with the screenplay and how to handle the first half of the movie. He needed a good reason for the crew members not to just shoot the thing and kill it, but still not make it an indestructible monster that can be killed. The acid blood was the idea that solved this problem.
I meant to look
One of
it
the best
up.
ideas ever in the history of movies.
Yeah,
Yes, it
that's
was
cool.
great.
Fucking awesome.
How they the scene where the acid hits the floor. Do you know, like, did you see any facts on how they did that? Was that like, because I watched it and I meant to look it up and I forgot. It was like, how did they shoot that? What did the effects did they use to get that like dissolving scene? Did they use like legit acid or something? Because the way it melts, I was like, man, that looks like
No, I'm sure it's like I mean, it could have just been like they made stuff out of sugar and just put water on it.
they
It
did
could have
a
been something
really
as
good
easy as
job.
that.
Because I was sitting here watching it on my TV and I'm like, man, that's really really good.
Do you
It's
think-
weird. I did look up so many like websites and for facts and stuff, and
All
I
right,
never saw anything for it.
Can we? What about the cat? Are there cat facts about this cat? The hero.
Was
of
he
the
the
film?
best cat? It was the most temperamental cat, even though it's an orange cat. It
Best
was
kitty.
the best on there.
Best.
I went to like 3 or 4 websites. No one seemed to care about the cat
God
except for
damn
me
it.
and you guys.
Wow,
God,
that cat was the best.
I keep thinking like when Ripley's going back, like she hears the cat, she's like, God dang it. I was just like, that'd be Natalie.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, there she
She's like,
goes.
well, I mean, it can't die. We're gonna blow up the spaceship. But I was just like, you could have gotten out of there. You know, it'd have been a quick death for the cat. Cat's probably lost like 20 years of its life. It's been running from the xenomorph the entire time.
Well, apparently didn't.
And who?
Obviously, the xenomorph took traits from the crew member. The crew member liked the cat, and it's like,
Well, no. So there is the part where towards the end of the film, she drops Jonesy and the xenomorph looks at it.
I don't think it knew or just didn't care. There's more to that because
I like to think that it said, I'm the top predator. And then he sees this cat. It's like,
equal.
I love it. And I know it can kill
I like
me.
that much better because I was about to go into like, well, I actually know facts about the xenomorph's lifespan and stuff.
Did the
That
cat
was
have its
better.
own sleeping pod, or
Yeah.
was it,
Well, I think it slept with her, but no, I think she did stick it in its own sleeping pod towards the end. 'Cause I
Yeah,
thought
she did.
fucking awesome?
Well, I mean, she's got like, I mean,
got to make sure you don't get like space rats. You know, got to
Well,
keep it clean. No
she has
space
no-
plagues.
she has no food for that cat.
There's food. Like even my girlfriend.
Not on the second ship. She didn't have time to go get some cat food, did she?
What was that connected to the kitchen?
No,
I don't know.
That's just its own little ship.
It's a cat.
This cat just eats Sigourney Weaver's face while she's in hypersleep.
Yeah. That'd
You
be
see the
awesome.
face hugger? I'm a face eater.
Just like trying to go into hypersleep, but all you hear is,
Doing the
Kitty, stop licking. Or it's just
got the zoomies.
it's just while you're sleeping the whole time the cat's just gonna be like on your glass window. It's like, oh my god. So even in space I gotta deal with this.
And then it says, remember, in space, no one can hear you scream.
No one can hear you purr. Anyways.
He opens his mouth and a smaller cat comes out.
All right, y'all ready to hip hop into the film?
Let's go.
Yes.
I really hate that I said hip hop.
Well, it's you.
Yeah.
You're
So
just Mr. Dandy guy.
we start out in space where we get the cool, great title reveal. Then we see the spaceship, the Nostromo, a towing vehicle. Screen shows that it has crew of 7 with a cargo of like 20 million tons of mineral ore, and they're returning to Earth. They're so close to being home. Only 10 months.
Oh, good.
I don't mean, I got facts, but I want to kind of do it with part of the scenes you're bringing up.
Okay.
And it's more of a question. For one, this ship is huge because it happens
enormous.
when they use real display models. The perspective makes it look a lot bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this thing is massive. And
It
there's
looked like a
only
city.
yes, and it's there's only 7 people. It's the AI, which would be Mother, is so good. It was just a stupid my brain was going wild. I was like, man, to be able to make it where you can have a ship like that with only 7 people, and the AI could take care of it. Your standards for this thing operating have got to be so good because it made me think of the factory and how much things are different back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously you need less people now because more of automation. And my brain just started going crazy about man, that's got to be some on point stuff to only need 7 people.
Yeah. And I guess half the ship is just
Minerals and stuff.
a cargo hold, I'm assuming.
Well, it
just
was,
for everything they got.
Well, yeah, it said it was a mineral.
It's a towing
Yeah.
vessel. So, yeah. And then we get the great shot of the ship. It's like the Star Wars shot. You're underneath it.
I love
And it's
that so
will
much.
this ship ever end? Ship looks great. Camera takes us through the hallways of the ship. And it's just kind of showing you a little bit of the ship. So you kind of get it later on in the film. And in the command deck or pilot room, whatever you want to call it, we see screens start coming on throughout the ship. And more lights are coming on. Then we go into the room where all the crew are asleep, and there are tubes opening up. Cryo sleep.
And this is the way this guy gets up in the morning when he wakes up. I felt like that today.
Yeah.
Imagine being frozen. Man, this is got to be annoying, but they'll get up and they're all good to go.
Yeah.
I bet it smells bad when it opens up. Just all your farts come out.
No, it's I can't say it. I can't say
Just
it.
sleeping in your own
cryo sleep?
sleeping
Yeah.
in your own farts for 10 months.
No.
Well,
Sucks.
it's funny the way theirs works.
Your fart sleep too. In space, your fart sleep.
Because there's another book I read, it was actually a book, a Halo book, and it was talking about how they do their sleep, they freeze them, and they talk about
I read
when
all of those books.
yeah, when they wake up, they throw up this paste because it gets injected into their chest, and it's a nutrient paste.
And they
so,
eat it.
Yeah, it's what happens when they're asleep, so their body has something to feed on because it's just a low life state. And
What
when
was this in?
it was the Halo book. It was
Oh,
the Fall
gotcha.
of Reach. It was actually
It
really
was
good.
Pretty fucking cool.
His best Halo book. But yeah, that brought in they wear the suits so their skin doesn't get frostbite, and then they have the nutrient paste, and every time they wake up, they're throwing it up because it's still left over.
Cool.
So I always think about that anytime I see cryo sleep
Would have been
stuff.
great if you had morning wood.
Before you went to sleep, and you're just looking at the guy next to you falling asleep, and you're just
He just wakes up and puts his arm over the other guy's chest and starts twirling his chest.
No,
hair.
everybody wakes up and every guy's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. Don't bother me, please. But so we see a guy get up slowly, and then it's dissolving into where the whole crew's getting up, and then they start eating breakfast. This is kind of the popular scene that people like to talk about where it's oh man, it's you just never really know who the main character of this movie is going to be because it just does such a great job with the cast, and they're all friendly and stuff like that.
I feel like we don't get a lot of that. What is it like? Because that's something mentioned. It feels like it's an actual crew.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we don't get a lot of that. The synergy with even if they're side characters for the actors, they still do such a good job of feeling like it's real.
Yeah, well, what I like about it is they're not constantly arguing, which I feel like becomes a problem in the later Alien movies where it's Well, in the later Alien movies, like everybody's just making stupid decisions.
It was because
This
they're
one, they're not
military
too bad.
people, and they're like, oh, I just want to go shoot it and fight it, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
But I'm like
people
meaning
are
like
dumb.
Prometheus and stuff, where it's just like this is like the dumbest group of people they ever put on a ship.
Like
what
when
are
the
we-
ship's falling, and
like,
instead of running
this
to the
actually
side.
seems like a group of people that have gone on missions before.
It seems like it seems like a general crew of like, yeah, we're just doing this. It's like our everyday life. It's like when you see someone who gets comfortable working in their job, and you just see it with other people, and like, yeah, they know what they're doing.
Versus like the rest of them, where it's like everybody just doesn't know each other.
And everyone smokes a lot.
Yeah.
It's
Hell yeah.
I love how in the
Vape
future
mesh.
you could smoke, and
Yeah, you can't even smoke on an airplane.
In space, no one can hear you smoke.
well, my girlfriend brought that
I'm
up.
just
It was
gonna
like
keep
when they got
doing
the flamethrowers, she's like, they have oxygen flowing. I said, look, it's a sci-fi world, and realistically, you can't do that. This is obviously they must have some kind of hydroponics area with like natural greenery giving them normal oxygen, because you're right, you cannot do that. You would blow up the whole ship.
Here's my argument against that. Hey, they are on another planet where there's aliens and stuff.
Well, that's what I said. I was like, it's a sci-fi movie. You just have to like, it's sci-fi stuff. It just happens.
They brought a cat on a spaceship. Like, what do they do?
Hell
here?
Look how advanced they are. You can go in space and bring a cat.
The cat was the captain.
I wonder how long it took that cat to get used to being on his space. You know, we can't keep talking about this cat. Parker and Brett, they're talking about getting bigger bonuses. Dallas like shoots them down. Dallas, the captain, gets a message and goes to the room that has a computer called Mother. It's an awesome room with all these lights. It's such
It's
a
like a
dope looking
slot
room.
machine, like
Yeah.
the way the lights go.
Yeah.
I love the AI part of it. Oh, look at that. We're
It's
getting there.
Mama.
We're getting there.
But essentially, he's just getting a message about like, oh, there's a
Distress
there's
signal.
a distress signal or whatever, you dummies. The rest of the crew are at the command center. They're getting a message from another space system in space. It's a call for help. The crew meet for a meeting. They learn that they are halfway home, and Mother woke them up so that they could check out the mystery transmission. Parker doesn't want to go because the contract says it. Like he does it. His contract doesn't say rescue missions. It's only to go get this cargo or whatever. But Ashley explains that the contract actually says the opposite, and that if he doesn't do it, they don't get paid.
I kind of appreciate that they didn't give the AI a voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I don't know how you would call the technology. It's futuristic, but it's also like it's kind of like analog.
Yes.
I love that type of stuff that has like an analog but futuristic feel. I love that type of like anytime a movie comes out now and they
It's always holograms, and I hate it.
I like this much better. I'm like the analog stuff just is so much cooler.
It's like, I'm sorry, holograms just isn't going to be a thing.
Well, it's all CG. It's all CG, so it's just like you're limited on like it's like, yeah, it's cool, but practical analog stuff more fun and cool.
It's like, you know what's cool? Screens.
Yes.
That's why we all use them. Man, I'm like an old man yelling at a cloud right now.
My alien.
So the crew, they're closing in on the transmission. The crew takes the smallest ship down to the planet. We get a tense scene of the crew trying to land on the planet, but are being met with a lot of turbulence. They successfully land, but some of their ship gets damaged in the command deck. The ship has some like cell systems that they got to reroute now, Parker and Brett, which I love those two, by the way. They're
I
like
do
my
too.
two
I'm
favorite
very
characters.
curious
engineers or
about that
whatever.
scene, like when they landed and then like it just started breaking apart.
Yeah, I was like, what
Yeah,
happened?
exactly. So we got a hull breach. Like, I'm like, shouldn't you guys be dying because there's a hull breach in this planet? You can't breathe.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's just like in certain areas there are hull breaches or something like that. I'm sure it's not like the whole ship because everything's compartmentalized in spaceships.
like the
and stuff, I
Titanic.
guess. Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
It made me think of like, man, they did a good job because I feel like if they made a modern day like that, just like, we made it. It's not the best. The whole ship just dies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucked.
So it's like a dark, foggy planet. It's super windy, and we learned that it's like made of volcanic rock essentially, and it's super cold apparently. I don't know why it sounded like that. Some of the crew are going out onto the planet. It's Dallas, Lambert, and Kane, while Ash is on the lookout. And I love at this point because, like Ripley, even to this point, it's like she's like looking at Ash a lot, and it's like not sure if she can trust him because like what we'll learn is that he only like came onto the project like
2 days before that.
2 or 3 days before. Yeah.
I was watching it because when you know he's a robot or android, whatever you want to call it. I like watching to go back and watch those movies to see like the mannerisms of people, to see like, oh, you can kind of tell he's a little bit off, and it makes sense.
Well, it's like because at this point before he's gonna be on lookout, you see him like kind of doing a jog and stuff, and it's like, what are you doing? Getting your white juices flowing in your brain, your synthetic
It's
juices.
got a lot of juice in tubes.
But this is a great part because we see Parker and Brad are pushing Ripley's buttons because she comes down to like check everything
I
out
love
with her.
it so much.
It's
It
like, they're
felt so
mean to her.
genuine and real.
Yeah, it's like, oh, was she coming down here to tell us how to do our job?
So familiar. Just getting flashbacks to the factory.
So Ripley's trying to decode. She decides that she's gonna go up and check out like the warning and stuff. Ripley's goes up there to try to decode it. The 3 crew members are walking on the planet. We also see Jonesy the cat just straight up chilling.
Yes,
That
best
was
scene
best
in the movie.
chill cat ever. Also, that scene where she's looking, I'm like, you can read binary just by looking at it.
Yeah, it's like the Matrix.
Yeah, I was like, you're really smart. And it's like,
The
if your
future.
AI can't do it, and you think you can. Oh my God, you definitely just need to be the captain.
So we see the 3 crew members on the planet. They see a crashed ship on the planet.
It looks like a horseshoe.
Yeah, it does.
I love
And then
it.
we get like the great shot of the whole, like just a really wide shot of the whole planet where you can see the ship and you can see their ship. And it's just, it's
It's
beautiful.
funny
And it's
'cause,
one of the best looking movies ever made. And Ridley Scott's really good at putting together shots.
Well, yeah, especially since I watched
Blade Runner.
Yes, so
Yeah.
good. They because I was sitting here thinking, it's like now they would just send out a drone because that's what I was watching the Blade Runner sequel, and I was like, yeah, they send out drones to scan stuff. Does it make sense? But I was like, you could also just kind of get away like, well, we can't send out a drone. It would
It's
can't
too windy.
handle it can't handle all this.
I mean, their giant ship couldn't even handle it. Their drones couldn't. Which is something they ended up doing on Prometheus.
oh yeah, the little like orb thingies.
Yeah, but it just went in the cave. And then the 3 crew members start heading towards the ship. They're on board of the ship. It's a dark and very tubey looking ship, very Geiger of it.
But I like that it's because I was looking at it, and it's like their interpretation is that it looks like they took the natural anatomy of like a body and how it holds it together. It's like, let's mimic that for the ship, and they figured out how to do it. And that's why, in my head, that's how I saw it. It's like you took the natural anatomy, how things put together, like it looks like rib cages.
It's like organic.
Yeah,
very-
it makes
yeah.
more like it's an organic design, and I really love that kind of stuff that
Mhm.
works versus like machined. But they went with organic
Yeah.
style, but I love that stuff.
No, it's a great point. So they go into the giant room with the alien looking guy. And he's like sitting in a chair or something with either a gun or like a telescope.
Yeah. Like,
Oh, it's well, like
It's like
wasn't
a
it Prometheus? You
communicate-
see how they do it. That's how they drive
Yeah.
around and like gives them like all their hologram displays and stuff like that.
Cool.
Holograms. That's why they didn't get out. It has a hole coming out of it though, the alien does. And we're all left in mystery. Like, whoa, what happened to his chest?
It was funny, like when I went back and watched it years later. In my head, the space jockey was human sized, and then when I watched it again, I was like, "That thing is giant!
Yeah.
Oh wow!"
It's a thick bitch. I just watched Workaholics, and it got to my favorite episode where Blake like sees a raccoon and they're gonna pretend to be like manly hunters, and then they're like they see a raccoon just on the side of the road, and he goes out and he spits some dip out. That's a thick bitch. It's like my favorite episode of that show. Anyways, so Kane calls for his companions because he found a hole in the floor. Ripley, I love it. It's just one thing. You just see a giant alien creature for the first time in your life. Hey, there's a hole on the floor, guys.
Well, I don't know what Kane was, but he's like, because he was the one who wanted to go out exploring first. He seems like he wants to explore and learn everything he can. Like he seems like he's part of the science division. Like if I was him and he was seeing this, I would be wanting to look around too. He's like, guys, look, this is an alien thing. I would be like, let's keep looking. Let's see what we can find.
First thing I'd want to do is touch that alien.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm not a
And then
scientist.
you're going to be in like international
and especially
court because
since
you touch the alien
and
inappropriately.
well, you know,
Well, they're not scientists either. You know, they're just dudes.
Yeah, that's true. I keep forgetting they're not scientists
Well,
except for
some, like-
Ash. It's just Ash.
Well, he's the science division, but I mean, generally, if it was like work was like, we got this random shit we want you to go look at, I would be that excited. Like, I'm gonna go look. Would you not be excited to go look? It's like you found an alien ship, and just I would want to keep looking around. I would probably die because that's how it happens. But I'm like, man, like alien life form, first person to get to see this.
Yeah. So, they decide to go on the floor. We see Ripley though. She says that the message was half decoded by Mother, and she's saying that it's not an SOS but a warning. She wants to go tell them, but Ash starts pushing back. So like by the time you get there, they'll already be coming back. It's like our first like it's like one of her real first looks of like, what'd you say to me, boy?
It's
Well,
like
his
the
quote-
equivalent of her like asking her husband to stop and ask for directions.
Yeah.
We're almost there.
Don't worry, we'll figure it
Well,
out.
the way he responded is like, by the time you get there, they'll know it's a warning. I was like, so you're saying that because the way he said it is like so you're saying, well, yeah, if you get there, they'll be running away because they know it was a warning because they find why it was a warning. Like that sounds like it's just like, psh, they're going to be dead by the time you get there and you know it's a warning.
Yeah, exactly. So Kane drops into the giant room that looks like to have a bunch of eggs in it. Kane investigates the eggs. They have like a layer of mist covering them. I like it because you know when you go to haunted houses,
Yeah.
it's just like that where they have the laser over it and then all the mist so where you can't see under it. I was like, hell yeah.
It's very cool. Yeah, and the way he falls off is super silly.
Slips in the pit and falls in it. Oh god.
Just like a banana peel down there.
I got a fact about that alien egg scene when you get to it.
He goes to touch the eggs and we notice goo falling upwards off the egg, which I thought was a weird, cool touch.
I'd noticed that too. I'm like, I didn't notice it was anti-gravity.
I know. I was trying to look up stuff about that, but and it's like just no one seemed to like care about that. And I was like, that was one of my favorite parts of the movie. You can see something moving in the egg, and then it opens up. Then we see the face hugger pop out and attach itself onto Kane's helmet. Because I like that he looks in it, and you can kind of see it wiggling around. He's like, I have an idea. I'll touch it.
Well, he didn't touch it. He fell on it, which when I watched that scene where he fell, it's like he's like, oh, there's like this weird layer of mist. It's like he went to lean on it like it could hold him up. Then he fell. It's like, you fell because you thought that little layer could hold you up?
Right.
The fact I have about that scene, because you know when he looks in it, you can see it moving.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to read it. It says, that apparently was this stupid website. That was Scott. In the movie, he comes in, appears to move inside its egg. That was really just Scott flicking his gloved hands under the moving light. The egg also came outfitted with steel hydraulics along the top, and when it's all opened up, when you finally see it, those are cow intestines, not alien parts nestled inside, which I was like, that looks really cool, which I wish they had told something like that about the facehugger part.
Yeah, right?
I just thought that was like all the real effects and the stuff they did. It just was perfect. I'm like, why do we not get this anymore? It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Set the standard. It's like, yeah, practical effects. This is where it at. If you do a good budget, have a good director, it's great. Like,
which I do feel like all the alien movies do the face huggers do. They do it where it's all practical, which is nice. They don't do the alien xenomorphs anymore that way.
The egg things, the face huggers, like they're so confusing to me because then they completely changed into the alien, the xenomorph thing.
Well, the face hugger puts the alien in their chest.
Yeah.
So it's not. That's not the alien.
No, the alien. Okay. It like if you watch a little bit later in the scene, they're analyzing. It's like, well, what's that down its throat? And that's what's helping him breathe. It puts a tube down its throat and implants it, and that the alien takes on part of the host's DNA. So it implants it in the chest. That thing is just the carrier of the egg.
It's so weird.
See, exactly. It's so good though.
It's like almost like two separate species living.
A perfect species.
Like one species has to make a different species of an alien, which is kind of cool.
That's the point. It's supposed to because they're trying to take over and create their own world, so they inhabit what the host is of that world, so they could take it over. That's why I love it so much.
Yeah, pretty rad. So Dallas and Lambert bring back Kane to the ship. Ripley doesn't want to let them in due to quarantine rules. Dallas and Lambert are pissed, but Ash lets them in anyways because he's sus.
Jerk.
I feel like she had the most.
I said
love
sus
her
because Among Us. And it's because it's like a spaceship thing.
She like most movies are like, she struggles to let him in. She straight up is like, no, it's not safe. Like we can't. And I feel like when they brought him back, it's like, yeah, we need to let him in, and they're not freaking. Like, there's something on his face like that in that scene. It should be like, guys, we need to let him in. He's blah, blah, blah. They're freaking out. They're kind of just a little chill, but
yeah,
I kind of chalked that up that they're tired and they couldn't really tell what it was because of the helmet.
And they didn't want to do it. They didn't want to do any of this anyways. So Ash, like, he can just command doors at will.
Well, I guess they didn't think about it.
Because later with Ripley, like he's just standing in the middle of the hallway and the doors are closing and opening. I'm assuming he's connected to a mother, right?
Well, there's a scene like
the ship, since he's a robot.
Yeah,
I think no, like there was a scene like earlier. I don't know if it was earlier or later where, Dallas, that's the captain.
That's the captain.
He's walking away from Ripley, and she in the end of the hall. He's walking to the door. At the other end of the hall, she pushes a button and stops him from going there. I think we just don't see him off scene when she's trying to run, pushing the buttons.
Okay. It just seemed like later in the movie, it seemed like he was just doing it with his head almost. Just from the way the scene was shot.
That's probably why he lost it.
Yep. So we cut to them cutting open his helmet. It's dope scene, and we see Kane is alive, but the alien facehugger is on him. And I love, as soon as they cut the mask off and, the alien, feels that it's being revealed and vulnerable, immediately starts wrapping its tail around his throat. balls.
Yuck.
We see how the facehugger works. It puts Kane in a coma and feeds him air with a tube. And I'm assuming that's how he's impregnating. Oh boy.
Yeah, it takes over the breath. Like I think that's why you see like the little sacs. It like is like helping him breathe.
Oh, that's
Really would
fun.
have liked to have seen some facts about like the actor with that on his face because it's all real and like how they got that tail to tighten up perfectly. It was like this is really good. I want to know how like they did this scene and how the actor was like, oh yeah, it was hard to breathe because he's sweaty and stuff. And like I feel like it could be genuine.
Yeah. Ooh, also, quick fact about the cat. I do have one fact.
Yes.
So Sigourney Weaver on like first like few days on the set, she had scenes with Jonesy, and every time she held it, she was breaking out. And she's like, "Oh no, they're gonna fire me because I'm gonna be allergic to this cat." Turns out it's just like the stuff that they're spraying on them to make them all glistening and sweaty. She was allergic to that.
What were they using?
It's like some sort of glycerin or
asbestos.
something. Yeah, asbestos. Just so you know. So Dallas wants to cut off the facehugger while Ash doesn't think it's a good idea, but Dallas decides he'll take responsibility for anything that goes wrong. Ash begins cutting the facehugger off, and we see its blood is actually acid. Eek.
I just love that scene when it melts through, and they're like, "It's gonna eat through the hull of the ship," and
Yeah.
going through. Like, what does it get through? Like 2 levels.
Yeah, it got through 2 floors, and then it eventually stops.
Way to drive home a point of like you can't kill this thing because you'll destroy the ship, and you'll definitely kill him if you try and cut it. And
Yeah,
that's what I love.
exactly.
Is like the thing is, you can try and take me off, but I will take the host, and
Oh,
that's
yeah.
another like design element of like, I will get what I need to do.
Yeah.
My goal is to impregnate him.
Yeah.
This scene's like so perfect. It just sets up.
Time to throw the corpse
Perfect.
outside, guys.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking the whole time. Like, get him out of here. We don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
That quarantine didn't seem to care too much about Ripley. She should have been like, guys, we kill it, get rid of it, gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, just throw it out with the trash.
So after eventually the acid stop, Parker says it has the perfect defense mechanism. And then like we cut to the scene where Parker and Brett, they're still struggling to fix the ship. And they're like, I just want to get out of here, man. Like this is too much. And then now we're in the infirmatory with Kane and the facehugger. Ash is in there analyzing data from the alien. Ripley comes in to talk to Ash. Ash explains that the facehugger can withstand environmental conditions due to its replacing its cells with silicone. So essentially it can adapt to whatever temperature and
He's got
atmosphere.
like some mad respect for this thing.
Yeah, it's like, man, this
I think
thing
it
rules.
adjusts to like what atmosphere and temperature it's in at the time because they
Yeah.
do use like the extreme temperatures to affect it because it's not adapted to it.
Yeah, exactly. So Ripley wants to know why Ash let it in. Ash says that he was obeying an order, but Ripley says she was the commanding officer when Dallas wasn't on the ship. Ash says that he was willing to take the risk for Kane, but Ripley suspects something's up.
She's smart.
She's wicked smart.
Wicked smart.
Ash calls Dallas because something is wrong with Kane. When they go to see him, they see that the hugger is gone. Ash, Dallas, and Ripley all look for the creature. Ripley checks on Kane, and the facehugger falls on Ripley. It's like, woo! It appears to be dead. Ash examines it. Ripley wants to destroy it while Ash wants to examine it. Dallas agrees with Ash. This is where we get the thing that looks like a oyster.
Well, what do they say? It says probably use like some mushrooms, like the little like folds under a mushroom when you see it sometimes, like when it's hatched or bulbed, whatever you want to call it. Like, oh yeah, my head was like, I wonder if he like used frog guts or just like grabbed some chicken livers and stuff and threw it in there and made it slimy.
Yeah.
Man, I love like when you wake, like whenever you're just looking at your mushrooms outside, it's like, man, any minute they're gonna hatch, you know.
I'm leaving.
Ripley's super pissed off. Dallas explains that Ash is in charge of everything scientific. Ripley questions Ash's motives and says she doesn't trust him. We learn that Ash joined the crew 2 days before they left on their mission. Ripley says the ship is ready to go, but she doesn't want to because of the, alien on board that they don't understand.
And quarantine.
Yes, they lift off and leave the planet, though. Parker and Brett want to freeze Kane. They're just like, just freeze him, dude. Just freeze him.
If they had done that, would it have been? I feel like that could have worked better. Like I feel like Ash would have been like, he wanted to see what the thing can do, but his mission was to bring it back. It was like he should have been like, okay, let's freeze it and bring the body back, and then I could take it where I need to.
Yeah, it'd probably been smarter for Ash to do that, but they, under no circumstance was he supposed to take any chances of killing anything that was touched by the alien.
That made sense because like in the 4th Alien movie, that's basically what they're doing. They're getting people facehuggers on them, keeping and letting it hatch in the cell, and then they keep it in the cell to monitor it.
Yeah. So Lambert tells them that they're 10 months away from Earth. So they got woken up that early. They're only halfway there.
They're all still kind of super chill about Kane just being.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they were.
Well, I think they're just like, they're so exhausted at this point, and they're like, we're 10 months
Because
away.
they have to go back in the freezer, and there's just so much. Like, if we just freeze and get back home, the other people who can actually deal with it, we're just doing our job of mining. Let the other people handle it like they should.
Yeah. And Ash calls for Dallas because something is up with Kane. When the whole crew gets there, we see him up and well. His throat might hurt a little bit. He decided to.
No, it's smooth and slimy. It lubed up its little tube for him.
Oh God!
He had to become a throat
God.
goat for about a couple days. They begin questioning him, and he doesn't really remember anything. They say he just remembers something jumping on his face as a nightmare,
We've all been
essentially.
there.
Suffocating. Okay, well.
The crew are all in good spirits and begin eating before they go back to sleep. And it's like a little fun scene. Everybody's happy. They're all laughing. And all of a sudden, Kane starts choking and then convulsing. And then we get the
It's a
little
drama
old
queen.
cute little boy popping out of his whole chest. It's so cool.
It was such a good
Yeah,
scene.
when the blood splashes on that lady, she looks kind of pissed.
Well, that's because she didn't expect it. She's like,
What?
And the guy grabs a pen. He's like, "Oh fuck!"
I'll kill it.
"You're not gonna fry me up."
And I just love it. He's like that super racist cartoon rat.
Huh?
Just like how he books it out of there. It's like
That scene is
It's
so good.
so
I was just,
funny.
everyone's reactions, like, I feel like it's one of those, like they said, they planned it to try and get them in the moment to feel like it was real, and it worked. It's
Yeah.
I just love that scene because everyone's acting is on point. Even the guy who's like convulsing, do laugh a little bit when I see him and his tongue's out. And he's like,
But hey, man, you have something pop out of your chest. See how you act.
oh, and like the chest bursting thing. The guy who thought of that was because he had Crohn's disease, and he always feels like something is always trying to like come out of him with his stomach, and that's what made him think of the alien part. And I was like, yeah, that worked really well because it shows it more of a predator. It's natural thing. It kills when it's born, and it's just such an awful way to think about dying because going through your sternum like that is not easy.
Oh, really? I do it all the time.
Easy Money from work has Crohn's. Maybe he's a
Oh, really? He
carrier.
does? I didn't know.
I
that.
didn't know that.
I love how like you got to poop so bad. It's like, you know what? This feels like an alien, man.
Well, it could be like your acid reflux. It's just coming back up like. Bleh.
Don't even talk about it. I've been having issues with that. So the crew begins searching for the alien. The crew then gather to shoot Kane dead body out into space. Really
The right
nailed
thing
that
to did.
sentence. Brett gives everybody cattle prods to fight against the alien. They're like, it won't like break its skin or anything, but it should like potentially knock it out. And Ash has a device that will help them track the alien. It's like this little, it almost looks like it just reads I
Like a
don't
Geiger
know.
counter type,
something like that.
a-
It reads energy or biometrics or
well,
something.
it reads. She said. They said, "Well, which was a really good little detail. It's like, well, how does it read? What is your like baseline for that?" And they said, "The air dispersing
Mhm.
type thing." Oh, that's pretty smart. That explains why you could know where it's moving. It's more advanced than just a motion tracker. It's just a little sci-fi, I guess.
I was thinking it's just like it's like a metal detector for
It's a
biological
goo
creatures.
detector.
Yeah. Oh, there seems to be goo nearby. All the guys like, hell yeah.
I'm gonna go.
Brett gives. Oh, I already said that. So we got Ash, Dallas, and Lambert. They're going together, and Ripley, Parker, and Brett are going together. Ripley's team is searching the floor. Their tracker thing gets a signal. They go into what looks like a locker or storage room. They think they found it, but then they open the locker, and boom, it's the cat. Classic Jonesy. Parker says they have to get the cat so they don't track it again. Brett goes to look for the cat while Parker and Ripley continue the search.
I need one of these things for my cat because I'm always like trying to find him.
Where the hell are
That's
you?
why they put bells on their cats.
Yeah, we had to stop doing that because he couldn't. He was mad. He would try to hunt, and his bell would scare the birds away. But now we have no more birds around the house in like a 10-mile radius.
No more
so.
boys. So Brett is walking around meowing for the cat. It's a tense and fun scene. One of the best scenes of the goddamn movie. He almost gets the cat, but it runs off. This is classic cat stuff here.
When he's looking for it and it like goes through like Was that the scene where it falls like on the whatever the bulldozer? I always sit here and thinking the scene's like, man, what did they do in that scene to make that cat so pissed off and run? I feel bad for the cat in the moment.
They didn't
Yeah.
feed it right away.
Another Milo and Otis situation here. Thanks for ruining that movie, by the way.
No, I mean, all you have to do is go, and the cat will be like, just run away. I stand up, and one of my cats are like, he's gonna kill me!
You are tall, like you're the alien.
Like, but yet, it pisses me off. Cat should like me. The other two don't mind me. So he then sees the skin of the alien. It's like whenever, like
Molting.
Molting, yeah. He continues the search for the cat. This goddamn cat just won't let up. He goes into a room with another spaceship. This is showing us the spaceship that they're going to be able to leave on later. Brett takes a second to let water drip down on him. I read something about this where Ridley wanted water dripping down just for his idea of the scene. And the producers are like, well, where's the water coming from? He's like, I don't know, condensation or something.
Girlfriend
who
said the same thing.
cares?
She's like, okay, there's water dripping. You're drinking it, and you're not worried about it. And like, yeah, I wouldn't be like in a ship like that. It gonna taste like oil or something.
Yeah, it's gonna taste nasty.
But hey, I mean,
I think the reason also was like, because she asked like, why is he doing that? I was like, well, they just woke up, probably hasn't had a shower, and it just feels like refreshing to kind of get that off of you, because the stuff they're drinking is probably recycled water, stale water. It's like, oh, this kind of feels
think about
like,
it. He's been working on the ship for 25 straight hours.
oh yeah, that's right, and all that steam and stuff. He's like, oh, it feels good,
I like the idea of Ridley's just like, make the ship drippy.
Yeah.
just like the alien.
He's like, I don't know, it'd be cool. Just let me have it. And then in Blade Runner, the main scene, it's raining. It's
The
cool.
whole
It's great.
time, still love it.
He sees Jonesy and tries to lure him out, but behind him, it's like an iconic shot of the movie. We see the alien drop down, and I like that you see its tails wiggle. And then we get the big reveal of the alien. The alien shoots another mouth out of its mouth, and it kills Brett.
Hell yeah!
And picks him up. I love that scene, and like the whole like saliva thing it builds up is so good. And it's funny because like I've seen over the years, I've watched people who try and make their own, and I saw one guy who had the mouth and had it moving, that he had made his own, and he had it where it was dripping out all the liquid like in the movie, and he was just showing it in the video. But during the video, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna show you how I've got it to work. The only problem is that it starts smoking the other like animatronic parts in it because there's so much liquid in it. And he's like, yeah, it's cool. I just got to figure out how to make it not smoke the whole thing up to do it. And I was like, it's cool to see how people were making that.
I'm pretty sure they used condoms to help with that. No, they did. They used condoms for its mouth and stuff. Its
like,
inside mouth. I read it. I didn't put down the entire fact, so I'm probably only saying like half of the truth.
I didn't know that.
Have you ever seen the creature that they based the xenomorph off of? Like the little mouth thing? It's like the deep sea creature that.
Oh, I vaguely remember it. I don't remember what it's off of though.
Yeah, it was just off of like a documentary. Like it was something I just thought it was cool.
I'll have to look it up after this. That'd be pretty cool. So we cut to the crew talking about what happened to Brett. Like it just immediately cuts to the crew being like, he did.
Well, they were also like, it's some kind of man-sized thing, and it picked him up and took him away. Thought it was a little weird because it doesn't show that they were there. They made it seem like the way they were talking, it's like they saw it. I kind of wish we had seen a little bit of that.
Well, I think they're assuming it is because they're like, where did he go? Like they saw like, I guess, blood. And, they said there was no blood.
Yeah, they said there was no blood, which there should have been. But he said it was man-sized, it's huge, and it picked him up. They saw it take him away.
Biggest alien I've ever seen.
Huge.
Xenomorph, perfect creature. Only thing more perfect, me. So we learn that it's traveling through the air ducts, though. They plan on luring it out into the main airlock and shoot it out into outer space. They're going to try and drive it through the air vents by changing the air temperature of the ship, and they split up. Classic. And they also have flamethrowers now.
They do like the Wile E. Coyote thing where they lead a pile of bird seed.
Yeah. Or it's like in Family Guy when they put candy down. Ooh, piece of candy. Man, why? This movie just made me think of so much Family Guy. I haven't seen Family Guy in like 10 years.
I don't know what it is, but like when he's going through the ducts and shutting them, and it has like those metal like iris closing things. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, those are so cool. It's like, ooh, it's like a camera. So Dallas is asking Mother how to get rid of the alien and what their chances of survival are, and Mother doesn't compute any of it because she's sus.
You don't need to know.
Dallas is in the vents closing certain portions so that they can lead it into the airlock. As he continues through the hatches, he has Ripley close them behind so the alien can't go through them. So they're kind of locking it off. Lambert says that they are they have a reading on the alien and that it's in the third junction. He goes there. He begins shooting his flamethrower before going down just to see. It's like, oh, if it's there, it'll run away. As he gets there, Lambert loses the signal. Wow, wow, wow. Classic Lambert. Lambert says it has to be there, but he doesn't see it. Dallas is getting scared and wants to go. Now Lambert has the signal again, and it's coming right for him. He turns around, but, well, he starts to kind of like run to get out of there, but then he turns around and bang.
It is kind of
done.
funny, but it's like that big reveal of like you kind of see more of its body, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah. Well, it's just such a classic, like 1930s or 40s like ghost movie thing where it's you turn around, they have the light on, and then all of a sudden, blah, and then it like immediately cuts. It's like such a classic horror movie thing from like way back in the day. And it's just funny because you just see his little arms like, hey, hug.
Such a hugger.
He is.
Face hugger.
They hug the face, they hug the body, they hug your brains with your little mouth. So they went to check on him and they found no body or blood. I guess this is where they did. Ripley wants to continue the plan. Lambert just wants to bail on the ship, but like we learned that it won't take the whole crew. It's like I think it can only take like 2 or 3 people.
Well, it said it can't take 4 people, and like there's only 4 of you left.
Yeah, so they'd have to. So he said draw straws. So one person would have to stay.
I wonder if it was only 2 people because she did. I guess it would have only been 2 people. 1 pod for the cat, 1 pod for her.
Yeah, and then the other person has to stay because the cat's by himself.
I'm out. Leave the cat.
Parker wants to stay and kill it. They're going to still try and blow it out of space, though. Ripley asks Ash what him and Mother suggest they do. Ash gives no answer. Says, we're still calculating. Ripley's like, are you freaking kidding me, dude?
I have access now.
Yeah. So Parker is going to refuel the flamethrowers. Ripley goes to Mother to get answers. Then Ripley learns about Order 937. She learns that the ship was specifically rerouted to investigate the life form on the planet that they landed on. They were meant to bring back the alien for analysis, and the whole crew is expendable. Ripley can't believe it. But I love this because Ash is over her shoulder and says, there's an explanation for all this. She's like, motherfucker!
It's got that like shit-eating grin too of like, it's over for you.
Yeah. She's like starts hitting him and runs off. She's trying to warn Parker and Lambert, but Ash won't let her. We then see like there's this white goo dripping off of his head.
Did you like in that scene, like, because she comes back as she's like before, like when she grabbed him to throw him, I just assumed that because he gets thrown, so it's like, okay, he probably hit his head and that's why he started bleeding. But when you see her later, she's got like a bloody nose. I don't know if that was for the scene, you know, they're probably reshooting it. And I was trying to figure out, I was like, how did she get the bloody nose already? Did he like swing on her a little bit?
Maybe it's just supposed to just be like their little tussle, right? Or maybe it's like his sweat. I don't know.
Well,
It's
it's
really
their blood.
dry.
And think about that in that moment. You're dealing in this movie, you're sitting here like, oh man, this guy's just bad. And then you find out it's like, he starts, if you were watching the movie like in the day, in the theater, you'd be sitting here like, what is this substance? And then you find out another layer of cool like
I know.
sci-fi stuff.
I wish
More goo.
I wish I could have like watched this as an adult for the first time, so I never knew that he was in Robot, and I'd be like, yeah.
We talk about his
this
like
is
method
cool.
of like trying to kill her. He's easily tossing her around,
He's super strong.
and then he just looks at her and decides to take a magazine and roll it up and
Yeah,
stick her throat. I'm like,
so
man, you
cool.
could have just started choking her.
Yeah.
He could have popped her head like a grape.
You know, I bet Ash was fine, and then he got the one ring.
It'll do that to you.
Old Bilbo. So he's starting to seem different. Tax Ripley. He's got like Ian Holm is so good in this. He's got like that great eye twitching that doesn't seem like overdone. It's kind of
Maybe he wasn't supposed to, because in my head was like he is a robot and they're probably programmed not to do it, and he's like, oh, I just gotta do it. He's like doing his own thing of like, this is my directive and I
Yeah.
gotta kill someone.
So Ripley is knocked out for a second, and Ash shoves a magazine in Ripley's mouth, which is hilarious. Parker and Lambert come to save her. Parker hits Ash and begins going haywire, and his head pops off. It hits him with like a
Fire extinguisher.
fire extinguisher. Parker starts going ham on him. Ash is Ash is a freaking robot, man. Ash keeps attacking until they finally subdue it.
By knocking his head off and still like attack. I love when he goes back, because it also is like when like the facehugger was like dead and he poked it and it twitched. He's like, that's just a reflex, and you think Ash is dead, and Ash still does like the kill reflex again too to go
Yeah.
and kill him.
That's why he respects it so much. Ripley believes they sent a robot so that they can get the alien for the weapons division back home. Parker rewires Ash so they can talk, and it's like this awesome dope scene. Ashley explains that because like they have his head off, so obviously it's this Ian Holmes sticking his head through a table. But Ashley explains that his only priority was to bring home the alien. They ask how to kill it. He explains that the alien is a perfect organism. Ash says he admires its purity. Ash says that he won't lie about their chances, but they have his sympathy. As they leave him, Parker flames them.
Sorry, a little because my girlfriend was like, "Oh, so there's like another alien here." He's like, "No, he's a robot." And she saw like all the innards and stuff. She's like, "He's got stuff in him." I was like, "Yeah, he's a fancy robot. We don't know what they need." And I was looking at it, I was like, "Man, that looks like marbles." And I found a fact about it, and it says the weird white goo that seeps out of Ash's android head when he's decapitated is like a combination of milk, caviar, pasta, and glass marbles.
Yeah,
and
I
it
read
said
that
it
one
was
too.
especially unfortunate for the that's a weird way to say it, for the home who hated milk.
No, I can't have it. I'm lactose intolerant. Ripley, Parker, and Lambert are off to kill the alien. They now have a plan just to blow up the whole goddamn ship. Parker and Lambert have to get coolant first while Ripley preps the other ship. But she hears Jonesy and goes to try to find him. We see Parker and Lambert getting coolant. Got more shots of the three. Ripley is still looking for Jones, but it's getting more intense. The cat jumps out and just won't play nice. What I love is that it reminds me, like, because the Community episode, where it's the one where Troy and Abed, they come dressed as aliens. Abed is the xenomorph, and you have Troy as the
power loader in the second one.
And, you know, like, that's the whole one where everybody's turning into zombies or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but you have Jeff, Winger and Troy and Abed, they're going into like the basement or whatever the school, and you keep having this cat jump out at him. He's like, what is this cat doing? And then it jumps out again. You know what? Forget it. We're getting the cat. And I was like, oh my God, it's so funny. They're just making fun of aliens so much. And it's like, I always forget that when I watch it. But anyways, so.
I haven't seen that show.
You haven't? Oh my God, you gotta watch
funny.
it. It's
pretty
like,
good.
It's just like a parody of everything you love. So there's more shots of the three. Ripley is still looking for Jones, but it's getting more intense. The cat jumps out and just won't play nice. But Ripley gets Jones and cages it. While Parker and Lambert are getting coolant, the alien shows up. Lambert won't get out of the way, so Parker can flame it. Parker tries to hit it, but it grabs him and mouths him and stabs him with its tail, which is cool because we hadn't seen him do that yet.
Nope.
And it kills Lambert because she's dumb.
She gets killed with the tail. Parker. Wait, I thought Parker was the female.
No, Parker's the guy.
Oh, Parker. Well,
Lambert-
Parker, like
Lambert's
he's
the
getting like
girl.
choked out, and I just loved his scene of like actually like a little bit of blood coming out. He gets hit with a mouth, and then the alien scene with her, and like you hear her dying as it's like because you know it probably slowly just like stabbed her with its tail. And Ripley going to go check it out. I'm
Yeah,
like, you
she
should
finds them
probably-
both, and like you
Good
just see them
scene.
hung up essentially. Then she preps to blow up the ship. She set up the emergency self-destruct system and has 10 minutes to get out, but 5 minutes to turn off the self-destruct system.
I love the way that like self-destruct, like all of it was just mechanical. It wasn't like when she lifted up, just nice little touch of like there's instructions she's following. It's like that's really cool. Just
Yeah,
felt-
because you know what is dumb? One red button that says
Yeah.
self-destruct.
I loved all of it. Now it didn't make sense that
It's
like
so
someone
bad.
could just go in there and do it. I felt like it should have been usually like those. It's like two people have to do it, but it makes sense if there's only one person, like a 7-person crew.
Yeah,
Just
Yeah.
all the stuff, like mechanical stuff she went through. Just thought it was really.
but it's
neat.
like putting together a piece of furniture from IKEA.
Oh.
It's like,
Putting together furniture is easy. I love doing it actually.
From IKEA, I have
Anywhere.
a
so frustrating.
glass like display shelf I got for some of my figures. Thought this would be easy. It took me an hour and a half because the way like the frame for it is like that thin metal stuff.
Mhm.
It was such a pain to put together.
I got a glass shelf for all my figures. I don't know. I'm sorry, Dakota. She runs to the ship to escape, but she is met by the alien. She decides, like, you know what? Maybe I don't know, turn this self-destruct system off now. She left Jonesy. She now has to run back and cut off the self-destruct, but doesn't do it in time, and now only has 5 minutes to leave. You bitch!
Oh, so sorry.
Bless you.
I love it. I love that, like, Sigourney Weaver's character is essentially very similar to Freddy from Freddy Krueger.
Oh.
So they both just love saying bitch.
I thought the scene was good. Just like it added another bit of tension. Like she's sitting here trying so hard to. It's like I just saw 2 of the last people dead, and she's trying to stop the bomb.
It's like an
going off.
etch-a-sketch, and you have
But-
to draw something.
The problem with not just having a button you can press is that you have to do everything the opposite. And it was obviously like a 1-minute process. And it's like, no.
And another bit of tension is like she couldn't do it. Oh, cool. Not
So-
only the alien that.
I guess just for in terms of the pacing of the movie, like, was this like, do you kind of just wish that there wasn't the whole she's having to run back to the self-destruct thing and we just kind of like
A little
continue?
bit, because to me it felt like your main goal was like, I know she wanted to live, but I was
Yeah.
like, you need to let this thing die. Like, what are you gonna do? Because in the end goal, like, what is she gonna do? If she stops it, she still has to try and survive from the alien.
Yeah.
But I guess she could sit here. I'll think of another way to stop it. But
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
the
wicked
whole like
smart.
self-preservation thing I would see, is that she's like, I'll try and think of another way where I can live.
Yeah.
Because it made more sense in that moment. It's like, I mean, she should have just been like, I'll just have to deal with it. But I guess because, in the sequel, we find out she had a daughter.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
they probably didn't plan for that in the first one. That's probably why she wanted to try and live, was like, I need to get back to my child.
Yeah, that's because James Cameron's like, how can I make this a little bit about family? 'Cause he usually does that. So and the fact that he loves like having female-driven movies where the mom's a single mom.
So
That's
that
just
means
such
like,
a James Cameron thing.
James Cameron should be directing Fast and the Furious.
Family. I would love it. So
I might actually watch them then.
she tries to make her way back to the ship. It's great. All the alarms are going off, and it's like she's in a dark little hallway. She's like trying to peek to see if she can see the alien. All the alarms are going off in her face. She picks up Jones and make it back to the ship that she's gonna make it get off the bigger ship with. She only has 1 minute. She's able to successfully escape before the ship explodes. She's safe. Maybe. I got you, son of a bitch. She just loves saying it. But she thinks she is safe. She's hugging Jonesy. She's getting ready for Cairo sleep. She puts Jones in first and then strips down to get ready to get in her Cairo sleep. This is one of the best things ever. This part. This is like the coolest
Quick thing,
shot
is it
in this movie.
Chiropractor that puts you to sleep, or is it cryo sleep?
Dude, I'm dealing with mucus here, okay? Let me live.
Mucus, huh? So you know what's to deal with mucus? I'm watching that chest, Jesse. I don't trust you right now.
So as she's getting ready, we see that she's kind of like got her back to the wall. And then, like, I love it now because you can obviously see it, but man, like not knowing it's there the first time.
It blends in
'Cause it
very well
blends
for their
in.
stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because the
That's
ships
cool.
all look organic, kind of like you were saying. She's getting ready, and then the alien pops out of the wall. It's like, I want my hand.
The noise, like,
out."
what is that? Like high, like.
I love he just puts his hand out. He's like, I just wanted to rub this part of the wall.
Well, a lot of like the later lore
It's
you get
not
in
my
the
big
movies,
mouth that wants to do this. It's my little mouth.
It was supposed to, like, in this point, is it's getting near its new life cycle. Since it was the only one,
Hmm.
it was going to start molting into a queen.
Yeah.
And that's why it wasn't like super aggressive.
Yeah. Just
Yes,
when it
queen.
goes
Yes.
when it goes to scare Ripley. Yes, look at these nails. But this part, it's fantastic, even though we just made fun of it. Ripley decides to hide. It appears to be resting. It's kind of cute. Ripley suits up in a spacesuit, doesn't wake up the alien, which is
I love the quick thinking
Okay.
in that moment. I was just like, it added to her character that she could, in that moment, she immediately hid that she's like, I've got a plan immediately, and started getting the spacesuit, because you're like, what is she going to do?
well, because throughout this entire film, like you realize she's kind of the smart one. She doesn't. I mean, she analyzes everything. Unlike everybody else, who's just
Logically.
all driven by just pure annoyance. It seems like. So she's gonna try to open the door so it flies out. But first she's like shooting vapor.
It's
mist.
I would say coolant coming
Yeah,
out, so
it's
it's
probably-
super cold on it.
Yeah. And then the door opens, and then like the alien kind of walks out, and it's like slowly walking towards her. She's just slowly spinning to get ready to like
I love
shoot
that
out
scene
the
because
thing.
she's sitting here like singing to herself, and like if you notice in the scene when I was watching it, she takes that deep breath of like, I've got to turn my back on it, which is like could kill me because I don't know when it's gonna
Yeah,
come at me. And it's just a good scene of like you can see her like, gotta prepare for it and turn around.
singing that song. Apparently, the producers hated it because it was a very expensive song to get for the movie.
Oh, shit.
So once they had the cut, it's like, are you serious? We have to pay for this now? We're already over budget by like $5 million. But yeah, so it's out. It scares her, and she opens up the door. but it like stops at the door, and then she like shoots
with like a grappling hook.
grappling
Which
hook to
she
it.
thought ahead about that too, of like it could stop itself from going out, and she prepared for that as well. And I think what adds to like when she sings the song makes you think when you know she has a daughter, she was probably singing that to herself to think about her daughter.
Yeah,
And I just like, oh,
Yeah.
that adds to the scene.
great. But she shoots it, it flies out, but it still won't go. It attaches itself to the engine, and then she blasts the engine, and it floats off. She's now safe. We get the final report. Everybody's dead. Ship blew up. Frontier in 6 weeks. Signing off. The end.
Yeah,
That's
fade away.
Alien. One of the best horror movies ever made.
It was awesome.
I feel like
I mean, I watched this like broad daylight yesterday, and I was still like, oh, I still jumped a few times. I was like, I forgot how
this is
fun these jump scares
a
are.
quote from my girlfriend. I was like, okay, I want to turn all the lights off. Like, why? I said, because it's a scary movie. She's like, this movie isn't scary. I'm like, what is what? What?
Classic LaShawn. Did she get scared at all?
She did the typical thing of falling asleep.
Yeah. It is slow, and if you're not in the mood for it, I can see
It's
being...
just a good movie in general. I'll watch it whenever.
But it's like, anytime where it's like super, like we're just going through the hallways, not a lot's happening, I'm like...
I just like looking at the set. Like, oh, man, everything looks really
Yeah,
cool.
that's the thing. I mean, you even like when nothing's happening, it's like, man, this looks like one of the best spaceship movies
So
ever.
spicy.
It's like the only space movie that I think looks better is probably Empire Strikes Back, but that's when I feel like it was the most...
Well, that's...
The ships and everything looked the best.
It's because they knew... Weird, like, how... Whatever their interpretation of, like, what they thought the future technology would be seems so much cooler than what they think future technology is, like, in current movies that we
Yeah.
see is in the future. I'm like, I don't like this. This just looks boring set. I
Yeah,
would say.
because
I'm not interested.
Prometheus, they like updated all their stuff, and I'm like, but does this make sense? Like, why wouldn't they have the same technology? It's like around the same time, I thought.
Well, you got to think
Since
that
that
was
was
a
a prequel.
mining ship, so it would be like low tech. They're
Oh, sure.
actually scientists getting backed by Wayland Yutani, who is like the one wanting to know about it. So
Mhm.
they would have the most advanced stuff.
That's true. Okay. Well, so perfect movie. I give it 5 little mouths out of 5.
I give it 5 face hugs.
So we're gonna head to our first category: the good, the bad, the ugly, the fine. It's where we talk about the good of the movie, the good. We talk about the bad of the movie, the bad. We talk about something that didn't age well, the ugly. We talk about something that did age well, the fine. Anybody want to start in particular?
I'll start with the good. Just the movie in general, practical effects. I love that the suit that they used was designed well. Now, obviously, you could see some parts, like when he's in it, and it's gotten a little bit better.
They edited around it, I feel like. pretty
But
well.
the parts they needed to show, like it's all practical, and like that was such a unique design that did such a good job of interpreting what Geiger did of like the long head and seeing its translucentness, and just it's so good. I love everything about this movie.
You got anything, Dakota?
for good.
Yeah, or is it kind of the same?
It's kind of the same. It's just fun. Good
Yeah.
fun.
Mine was set, the cast, and the alien, obviously.
And then the cat.
Yes, that's
yeah.
the good.
I put that as aged well. The bad. Mine is dumb scientists or people in space won't stop touching stuff.
Their quarantining was awful for this.
It's like, come on.
Awful. That would be my
Dude.
bad.
Like, you go, you see an egg, you see something wiggling in it. First thing you don't do, touch it. You get out, and you're just like, we should probably get a box for this or something, right?
You should not touch it. But to be fair, they're not going to know.
Yeah.
Minors. Like, oh, this is cool.
But that's really the only thing that, but that's also kind of my complaint in Prometheus.
I
too,
have
so.
one. Was like the bad was like, smoking cigarettes? Come on.
That's bad for your
Future
health.
times.
Come
Get a
on.
vape.
Well, they probably got the technology where they can just get rid of cancer at this point, right? You think?
Sure.
Point.
So anybody else got any bads? It's kind of a hard movie to find a
Not-
bad
not
because
enough
it's
cat.
all
Like, there's
it's
no
all
like
good.
that. Like what you said in Tommy Boy, like a little bit of the fat shaming stuff. You
Yeah.
don't really have that dialogue. It's just written so well. There's no bad dialogue that comes in later. There's just nothing that can be like a little nitpick here.
Yeah,
Maybe the
sure.
cat should have had a bigger role.
Yeah, love that cat. We should have just the movie should have ended with a just a shot of the cat just like laying in Cairo shape, like.
Oh,
way better.
great.
All right, so the ugly, something that aged well. I'll start off by saying nothing. Everything's
I'll tell you
great.
what doesn't age well: milk.
Milk, yeah.
Yeah.
Android milk.
Yeah.
I bet they smell awful.
I didn't like that they used milk for it. They should have used almond milk for it or
Yeah.
oat milk. And the fine, something that aged well. I just put alien design.
Yeah, still classic.
It's
They
kinda-
change it slightly
Fuck
here
yeah,
and
man.
there, and it's still.
I mean, honestly,
something
is
you
this
know.
everybody's favorite design of an alien?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
It's mine.
Well,
I think-
it's
It works.
like what other movie can kind of like that I can think of that like usually when you have an alien movie, it's set on a world versus a
Mhm.
ship and
Yeah.
keeps that like tight corridor of tension. Can't really think of something else that
Mine's
matches
just
that.
like District 9. I
Oh
like the
yeah,
prawn.
but that's
Yeah,
on
those are
that's on
pretty cool.
Earth.
Yeah,
I
but
like
just in terms of like alien design, I thought
Unique.
they looked really cool.
The
because
big
a lot of them
eggplant
try and do
head.
like the
They're fish shrimp.
What is it like?
Space shrimp. Fish shrimp. Jesus Christ! It's like my sickness is trying to come back all of a sudden.
no, that's just who you are.
Cloud your brain. All right, double feature, a movie that we recommend alongside of this movie. I'm gonna start. Have y'all ever seen the movie Sunshine? Danny Boyle. It's got Chris Evans,
Mm-mm.
Cillian Murphy.
Nope.
Y'all have never seen Sunshine?
No,
Oh my God, y'all have to watch it. It's one of those movies that no one hears of, but anytime you watch it, it's like, oh well, that's one of the best movies made in the 2000s.
huh?
It's
Cool.
all about this ship. They're trying to shoot, the sun's dying. So it's this crew going up to space and they're trying to shoot like a payload into the sun to re-energize it or
That
whatever,
sounds fun.
future
Uh-huh.
space stuff. But then I don't want to spoil it, but it turns into
Just
a completely,
shoot their load all over the
it turns
sun.
into a completely different movie.
Cool. I'll have to
And
watch it.
it's not really an alien movie, but
Sounds
in
cool.
terms of like tight corridors, being on a spaceship, and there may be being
Yeah.
suspense, or maybe they're just shooting stuff into the sun.
Mine's a Event Horizon.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the Warhammer movie?
A Warhammer movie?
So it don't want to go on a big thing, but like the world of like Warhammer when they do hyperspace travel, they're just basically traveling through space hell,
Nice.
and that's what Event Horizon. Everyone says this is like the most accurate depiction of like what Warhammer would be, a real live action movie.
Cool.
And that's what it basically is. Everyone talks about it.
Hell yeah.
I love that movie.
Cool. What was your double feature?
I couldn't think of like another alien horror movie that was similar. I had something in my mind, but I don't remember.
Doesn't
When
have to be alien.
I
It
know.
can be
I mean,
whatever you
like, I wanted something similar that has that same tension. I would just recommend like the sequel Aliens. It's not as scary, but it's still just good. It's
Yeah.
like
Hell
a great
yeah.
movie.
There's a lot of times where you'll like make the rock on sign while watching it.
Well, yeah, it's that like, come on, let's go for a bug hunt.
Game over, man. All right, so that's it for this movie this week. And make sure you join us next week as we're going to be covering the Rian Johnson film, Looper. Yay.
Yay.
Prosthetics on Joseph Gordon-Levitt to make him look like Bruce
I'm
Willis.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. This
It's
is
been a
how
long
I
time since
talk.
I've seen that movie. I should go back and watch that as well.
I remember.
Go back and find yourself and tell yourself.
I remember
to
in
watch it.
college, so I was supposed to do a group project with somebody, and I was like, all right, I want to go watch Looper. And I showed up an hour late for the group project, so I saw Looper, and he just wasn't there, and I was like, I'm sorry. He's like, it's whatever. And we never talked again.
But you were in school for movies. It made sense.
Yeah, that was my bad. So thank you for joining us. Go to our email and send us an email about what you think about the movie or the podcast. The next movie, any of the previous movies we covered. It's we recommend mailbag@gmail.com. Head over to our link tree if you want to follow us on social medias or follow us on another platform at linktree/we recommend podcast. Thank you, Joey Prosser, for the music. You can follow him on X at Mr. Joey Prosser. And thank you, Dakota, for joining us again.
Yes,
Thanks for having me
man.
again. I love this movie.
We'll have you on soon again because
Hell yeah.
I'm trying to
It's
get
so
4
much
people
fun.
to do this because we got a 4th mic. So eventually it's going to be hella chaotic soon.
It's
We
gonna
have
be
4
fun.
people. It's going to be fun to edit because there's going to be so much mic bleed.
Woo.
But this has been the We Recommend podcast. I'm Jesse,
I'm Jason.
I'm Dakota.
the last surviving members of this podcast, signing off. Bye.
Bye.